Hey YouTube, Untamed here. Dealerships hate it when you do these 10 things. Why do they hate it? Because if you were to do any one of them, it will cut into their profit margins. Knowing these 10 things will ensure that you get the best deal possible on your next vehicle purchase, I assure you.
All right, so this YouTuber with a massive audience just posted this video teaching buyers 10 things that dealerships hate that you should do. And yeah, some of these things do drive us crazy. Now, I will be putting the link to his video down in the description. Yeah, these things absolutely do drive us crazy, but not because we're, like greedy villains trying to rip you off. Now, a lot of the advice that he's giving, well, it actually makes the car buying process worse. It makes it more hostile. And honestly, it makes it more expensive for everyone, including you. Now, I work at Sam Boswell Honda here in Enterprise, Alabama. And I genuinely believe that we run one of the most respectful, transparent dealerships in our region, at least. So today I'm going to go point by point, at least on the topics that I actually have some sort of professional authority, I guess, to speak on. And I'll be explaining why the advice that he's giving in his video, it might sound smart on YouTube, but it can seriously backfire when you use that advice in the real world. So I do want to be clear up front. I'm not attacking customers. I'm attacking bad advice that treats salespeople like we are some sort of enemies, just because the truth is that most of us are just normal people trying to feed our families. Now, the first point he makes, I think, is kind of interesting, where he's saying to refuse to enter the dealership. So yes, in his first tip for customers, he's saying that you need to absolutely refuse to come into the dealership until a deal is agreed to. He claims that we just want to get you inside as quickly as possible so that we can, pressure you and emotionally trap you into buying your car. But let me explain the reality. If I gave you 3 guesses to tell me what you think I hear almost on a daily basis when I walk up to customers in the parking lot, what do you think it is? I bet on the very first guess, you know what it is. I'm just looking. And you know what? That is totally fine. But understand this though, okay? You're spending your free time here, all right? But me, this is where I work. And since I work on commission, time is literally money for me. Now, why is it that we want you to come inside the dealership? Well, there are a few reasons. For one, you physically cannot buy a car without signing paperwork, verifying identity and insurance, without us appraising your trade, and without reviewing all the financing and possibly cash options as well. That's all stuff that just cannot be done in the parking lot, and it's very difficult to do over the phone. Now, being in person, and especially being in the showroom where, I'm close enough that I can at least go speak to my sales manager whenever needed, see, that really helps speed things up. Now, in case you didn't know, all right, managers are not villains or, evil masterminds telling us how to trick you while we're speaking to them in their office. And we don't go get them and bring them to you as a ploy to try to force you to buy from us. At least most of us don't do that. Sorry, inside joke. But anyways, so managers often have to get involved because, well, simply they are more knowledgeable about every aspect of buying a car, and they are the ones that are authorized to approve deals. I literally cannot finalize your numbers, but they can. And I don't always know if the numbers you are asking for are, possible. So there are times often when I have to take those numbers to them so that they can, run the calculations and determine if the deal is actually realistic or not. Now, I tell my customers this all the time, okay? My goal is to help you to get the vehicle that you truly want, while also helping you determine like the most financially wise way to purchase it. if that makes sense. Okay, now this typically means that I'm trying to find a happy medium between you paying like the least amount of interest possible, while also making sure that you aren't, like stretching yourself out too thinly on your monthly payments. Now, my manager is there to make sure that the numbers that we arrive at are numbers that the lender are likely to agree to as well. If they don't agree to it, none of it matters. So we have to have the manager there to kind of be that mediator between us and the lenders. So the bottom line, though, on this is that when someone refuses to come in, it usually just signals that they're not serious buyers. And I mean, think about it from our point of view, because if you're not a serious buyer and we are paid completely on commission, then yeah, we're not going to want to go on 5 more test drives with you, especially if you're just treating us like an enemy right out of the gate. But now, if you are a serious buyer, don't just refuse to come in. I mean, I promise it's not as if we have some sort of magic spell over the door that forces you to buy a car just because you came inside the dealership. Refusing to come inside at all that does is it makes it harder, not easier, for us to give you our best effort. And I can assure you that our best effort is exactly what we want to give you. I mean, believe it or not, we want you to enjoy the experience. Smile. You're buying a car. You should be happy. Not acting like you're picking out your coffin or something. Although I guess statistically speaking, I don't know, maybe you could be. I'm sorry, it's getting late. What am I talking about? Anyways, point 2. He says, don't tell them if you're paying cash or financing. He says, never tell the dealership if you're financing or paying cash because it supposedly gives us leverage. Now, maybe at some dealerships that might be true. I honestly don't know. But I do know at ours, it's the exact opposite. Now, are there really financing incentives for the dealership? Which, of course, that's what we tell everybody, right? Well, the answer is yes. Dealerships do get kickbacks from lenders. And that's literally why we are able to discount cars more when you finance. So here is the scoop on that, okay? So our used cars are priced insanely aggressive. And the way that we do that is we use an AI software that scans a 350-mile radius, finds every comparable vehicle, and then it gives us the best price. Then we usually take that price and subtract like another $1,000 and sometimes $2,000 off of that price. And while that absolutely gives us the best prices on cars in our area and drives a ton of people from far and wide to our dealership, it also leaves us with razor thin margins. So on used cars, we offer $750 financing discount in many cases, and it's because that's roughly what the lenders are going to be paying us if you finance through us. So if you pay cash or if you bring in outside financing, we get nothing. So there's literally no incentive for us to discount the car any further. So the problem with the advice that this YouTuber is giving is, if you're negotiating a price, assuming financing, and then you switch to cash right at the end, right when we're ready to sign papers, that makes no sense at all. That doesn't mean that you somehow win the game and just get the car at the discounted price without having to finance the car. What it does is it completely tanks the deal, meaning we either have to go our separate ways. Hopefully you understood that the discounts that we gave you were contingent on financing, and you will now have to pay the full price of the car. So luckily for you, it's still a great deal since our prices kick butt. But it is extremely frustrating to have wasted so much time just for no reason. I'm I don't know, maybe I'm weird for feeling this way, but for me, like, it just completely tarnishes the rapport that, I thought that we were building with each other, because, you intentionally began our professional relationship under false pretenses. Now, maybe it's not as severe as, I don't know, waiting till our wedding day to tell me that you have 3 children from another marriage. Have no idea why my brain went there, but what it does is it adds a huge sense of distrust now between me and my customer, whenever I find out that I was just being lied to the whole time. You gain nothing, but you lost time, and deep down, you lost my respect for you. Like, just don't be that guy. All right, so the next point that he makes that I want to talk about is he tells his audience to negotiate first to get that best price, and then reveal your trade as well as your CarMax and Carvana offers, or offers you got from another dealership earlier that day. So he's telling buyers to negotiate the lowest price first, right? And then after all of that, then he wants you to surprise the dealer with your trade-in, and then show you the offers that you've already gotten from CarMax and Carvana, as well as the dealership you were at up the road before you came here. Now, that sounds like good advice from YouTube. And what am I talking about? It's terrible advice. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, honestly, to me, anybody who is giving you advice, and the advice that they're giving is telling you to be dishonest from the get-go, it's probably not good advice, but we'll go through this anyway. So first of all, again, you are showing that you have absolutely no respect for me and my time, but also it shows that you definitely didn't respect the people from that other dealership who probably did a ton of work for you just so that you could take their offer and then leverage that offer to get a better offer from us. Now, to be clear, while I think that's extremely messed up for you to do, and I'm absolutely starting to understand what kind of person you are at this point, I will still do everything within my power to beat the other offer that you got from the other dealership if possible, okay? But I do want to talk about this just a minute, because the offers that you get from CarMax and Carvana, those are a different story, okay? So the reality when it comes to CarMax and Carvana, look, those companies are national giants with completely different business models from your local dealerships. They can afford to overpay for trades because they make money on volume, financing, and wholesale pipelines. Okay, most local dealerships literally just cannot beat those offers. And if we're being totally honest here, and I might get in trouble for this, but pretending that we can beat those offers, it just sets everyone up for failure and frustration. So why does it matter for you to tell us about your trade up front? Okay. This is so crucial. Listen, your trade affects the structure of the entire deal. I mean, we're talking about tax savings, equity, financing, all of those are interconnected and they all matter. So hiding your trade from us, it doesn't make the deal better. It just makes it more complicated, and it makes it more adversarial. And again, it wastes a ton of time. Stop doing that, my dude. All right. Point number 4. All right. So I thought the last point got on my nerves, but point 4 really gets under my skin. He's telling people to skip the salesperson and just go straight to the sales manager. And this one, it just makes me so angry. Okay. He tells buyers to just bypass the salesperson and then go straight to the sales manager. So let me tell you what that actually does. Okay. Managers, they're not just sitting around waiting for customers or in their office playing Fortnite while the rest of us are, out busting our tails. No. And actually, as a matter of fact, I would say that our general and sales managers work 10 times harder than almost any other person in the dealership. They are constantly coordinating between at least 4 to 9 salespeople at any given time of the day, approving deals, printing out deal worksheets, making countless phone calls either to customers or for customers. And they're doing this all while running the floor and making sure everything's running smoothly. So now imagine they're doing all of that, and then one customer comes in and ties up the manager for 3 hours, which I mean is really the average amount of time it takes to buy a car, especially if a trade is involved, okay? Now that means that multiple other customers are now waiting. Salespeople cannot get approvals and the entire dealership slows down. Nothing can happen while that sales manager is tied up with this one customer. And this is just the most Karen thing I've heard all week. You're not gaining the system, Karen, okay? You're hurting salespeople who work on commission only, and you're wasting the time of all the other customers, many of them who most likely only had this one 4-hour window on this particular day to get this done before having to rush back to work. Okay, think about the other people. And while I'm on this little kick, when we are always asking you to please make an appointment with us, I know we harp on it all the time. When can you be here? Let's set up an appointment. Let's get a time nailed down. The reason we do that is because we have customers that have very little free time to shop. So what we do is we do our best to work out an appointment time for them. However, when people like this YouTuber come along without any warning whatsoever, and they just want to bring the whole place to a standstill just for them so that they can work directly with the sales manager, well, I can promise you that that person will not be getting the ridiculous discount that they are demanding from us. Okay? We love helping our customers. We absolutely love it. And we want to sell more cars than any other dealership in the market. But we are not so desperate that we will allow some male Karen to come in and just steamroll the entire dealership just to make it harder for all of our other customers to buy their cars. It's not gonna happen, okay? Just don't bring that kind of energy in here, okay? So anyways, the next point he makes that I want to talk about is demanding to see the dealer invoice. So he tells buyers to ask how long that the car has been on the lot and then to demand the dealer invoice. Okay. Now, asking how long the vehicle has been on the lot is fair. So, I mean, that one I can understand, asking to know how long a vehicle has been on the lot because, you want to know, is there something wrong with this one? Is there like a weird stain on the seat that you don't see in the pictures? Or, are we really desperate to sell it because it's been on the lot for too long? So you might be able to get a better deal out of the whole thing. So yes, I can understand why someone wouldn't want to know how long the vehicle has been on the lot. And another little secret of the trade that might get me in a lot of trouble, but it is what it is. That is publicly accessible information. You can go to places like Carfax.com to see how long a used vehicle has been on a car lot. It's just there, okay? So I don't have an issue with that. However, demanding for the invoice, that's a terrible idea, okay? Why is it a terrible idea? It's because customers don't see the hidden costs. So just think about it like this, all right? Dealerships don't just buy a car for $10,000, turn around and sell it for $15,000 and be like, oh, yay, we got to pocket $5,000. I promise you that's not how it works, okay? There are taxes, there are title fees, there are people that do the titles you gotta pay. There's reconditioning costs, there's detailing, there's photography and advertising, staff salaries of the people that work in the dealership. There's floor plan interest. There's a ton of hidden costs that customers just don't know about. And while I'm on that, let's get this out of the way. The general manager, the sales manager, and the salesperson are all paid using what is left over from the sale of the car after deducting all of the costs associated with that car. It might not be that way at every single dealership, but that's usually how it works. So let's just use the numbers that I just gave, all right? So say we bought the car for $10,000 and then we turn around and sold it for $15,000, all right? I don't get to split $5,000 with the general manager and sales manager when that happens, okay? Because there's a lot of things, okay? There's a lot of things, all right? We typically have to spend somewhere between $2,000 and $3,500 just on the initial reconditioning costs, like the inspection, all the oil and fluid changes, tire replacements, brake pad replacements, rotor resurfacing. Almost every car has to have new windshield wipers because apparently no one ever replaces those themselves anymore. So yeah, that's another thing we replace on almost every car. But that's just all the stuff that we have to repair or replace, okay? Then it costs $300 minimum to get it detailed, then another $100 to have the photography done, and then to have those photos and all of the vehicle's information and the Carfax information, all of that uploaded to our website. That's another $100. So if you're still keeping track, that is $3,900 or so, assuming that nothing was actually mechanically wrong with that car, which that leaves now a total of $1,100 to split between the general manager, sales manager, and myself. That means that I would make around $275 before, taxes and insurance costs are deducted. And that is the best case scenario, okay? That's assuming that the vehicle hasn't been on the lot very long and thus it has not been test driven to the point of needing multiple trips to the gas station to fill it up. Which, by the way, yes, that is another thing that would be coming out of that $1,100 that's left over. So our reconditioning costs, by the way, I've seen them exceed $4,000 many times. And I've even seen some cases where the reconditioning costs go all the way up to $7,500 when people trade in vehicles without disclosing any kind of issues that the cars have. Unfortunately, it does happen all the time. But now I want you to try to calculate what happens if we discount that car any more than we had it listed for. All because someone saw that we paid $10,000 for it on the invoice, and that person doesn't believe that it's fair for the dealership to just pocket $5,000. They shouldn't have to pay $5,000 more than we paid for it. Well, if we sell a car for just slightly more than we paid for it, then the general manager and the sales manager and the salesperson all get screwed. Now, most customers don't realize just how thin margins actually are these days, which is why I don't think it's wise to show customers the dealer invoice unless maybe it's a customer we know that works in the same or a similar industry as us and are actually familiar with, these flipping costs that we have to take in. So yeah, it's just not wise to show them the dealer invoice. All right, so the next point that he makes is kind of an interesting one, which is to just walk away if the dealership refuses to hit your price. So this one I do want to handle, carefully. You absolutely should feel free to walk away if you cannot afford the car, okay? But I want to be as blunt as possible about this because this is something that I just hear it so many times every single day. And it just blows my mind why anyone would think this way. But, here it is, okay? And please don't take this the wrong way. I swear I don't say this to be mean, but your budget does not determine what a car's value is, okay? Your budget does not determine what the car's value is. If you want to roll the dice and walk out because we absolutely cannot sell the car to you at the price that you say you can afford, then go ahead and walk out. But if you just told us that you cannot afford it, we're not going to call you in 5 minutes and beg you to come back and buy it at the price that you want it, like this YouTuber says that we will. It's not going to happen, because here's the thing. If we refuse to sell you the car at that price, it's probably because, like, I hope you're starting to understand by this point in the video, it's because we would lose money on it. Like, that is literally the exact opposite of the thing that a business exists to do. We'd love to give it away. I promise you, we all have very big hearts at Sam Boswell Honda, but that's not how money and buying things works. If you can afford the price that we have told you is the lowest price that we can go, and we are telling you, all right, that we are willing to let you walk, then you are not being smart by walking away or just continuing to demand that we lower the price. You're not being smart. You're being greedy and selfish, okay? Thinking that not only do we not deserve for you to respect our time, but that we also don't deserve to exist as a business, and that the real people, us, that are trying to help you, do not deserve to make a living to survive, because that's what you're insinuating when you keep wanting us to drop the price lower than we can sell it for. Because who do you think, whose paycheck do you think that comes out of if I agree to that? Now, I know y'all are gonna think that I'm making this up, but I'm not. Or as the kids say, no cap. This person straight up tried to argue with me the other day, saying, well, you may lose a little bit of money on this car deal, but you'll be gaining a customer. Like, my dude, what kind of main character energy makes you think that we would want a customer that makes us lose money? You know what? Maybe this guy's onto something. I might try this one out for myself. I tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna head on down to the Walmarts, and I'm gonna go pick out a brand new TV, and I'm just gonna tell the employee in the blue jacket back there in the the TV section, and just say, hey, I really like this one. Well, I tell you what, why don't you go ahead, go clean it up, package it up, and just go put it in my car for me. Now, here's the thing, okay? I can't actually afford it, so I won't actually be paying you money for it, all right? But think about it like this. While you may be losing money and a TV that someone else might have paid you money for, but follow me here, okay? If you allow me to have this TV for no money, I promise you that I will come here forever from now on to get TVs from you for no money. Yeah, boy. And I will tell all of my friends and family that they can do the same thing too. Like, no shot, dude. But now that I've just completely lost the plot, what was I even talking about? Right. Okay. So instead of using this terrible YouTuber's advice, let me give you some slightly smarter advice. All right. Let's try this out for size. All right. Before you go to the dealership to buy the car that you saw on our website, the one that we had listed at the price that you could, like literally at the best price that you could find anywhere. Before you do all that, try this instead. Okay. Grab the car's VIN from our website, then go to Edmunds.com. That's EDMUNDS.com, or even go to Kelley Blue Book if you can do that. But go and see what they say the car is worth. Now, there may be rare occasions when the vehicle that we have for sale is, so rare or odd that most online appraisal sites just won't be able to give you an accurate number. This can tend to happen on cars that are maybe a bit older, that have like very little miles on them. This is especially true for like sports cars or muscle cars. But the thing is, I can almost guarantee that our price will be better than what you are able to find on any of those other websites, since we are generally all basing our prices using the same data points. So anyways, once you realize that we really do have the best deal you can find for that car, then move on to step 2. All right, what is step 2? Step 2 is to do the math. Do the math ahead of time to get an idea of what it would actually cost you to buy the vehicle. All right, so you can use the tools on our website, but I've actually come up with a pretty simple yet surprisingly accurate equation that I'm pretty proud of. Though I admit I am no mathematician, so you might actually need to just go ahead and take this with a grain of salt. But I have found it to be pretty darn accurate, okay? So what you do is you take the price of the car you saw on our website using the price that we have it listed for, okay? Let's not go crazy. All right, so using the price we have it listed for, take that number, add around 6 to 7% for any taxes and fees to get that, to get to the total amount financed, okay? Once you get that number, then divide that number by 50 to get a rough estimate of what your monthly payment would look like on a 60-month loan, all right? You can also play around with subtracting a down payment, so you just subtract that down payment amount from the total amount financed, and then divide that number by 50. And then again, you would get a rough estimated monthly payment based off of the down payment that you chose. But anyways, if you have questions about that, ask me, okay? I'm very good with that one equation that I invented. But the key is that you need to do all of this before coming to the dealership so that you can see if that car is going to fit in your budget. Now, if something crazy happens and we are able to get you a better price than what we had online, you may be in an even better position, But if you are shopping with us, we do put our best price online, and we do not haggle over price. That is, that's the experience we want to give you. So go ahead and budget for that price before coming in. It will make your buying experience so much more enjoyable if you just do that, okay? And the reason I'm saying all this stuff is because of the reality of the current market, okay? If customers constantly demand prices that are below the market, dealerships will raise prices just so that they can allow customers to negotiate them back down. So we price low up front so that you do not have to haggle. That's how we compete with CarMax and Carvana. It's the only way we can. There are just so many dealerships out there that were just completely destroyed by CarMax and Carvana and this new way of selling cars online and this national way that they're doing. And I gotta hand it to them. It was a great idea. But there is still a great need for local dealerships. So we still want to be here, obviously. But we do have to do this to compete. And that's the way that we can compete with them, is by giving our best price up front. So before I end this video, I just want to share a really quick story with you. So earlier this week, one of our sales guys sold a car to this elderly couple. They're a really nice elderly couple. Now, after they bought the car and the salesperson, helped them get set up and everything in it, connecting their phones and making sure all the settings were the way that they wanted the settings to be. So after all of that, they got out of the car and they gave him a really big hug, and they told him how much they just appreciated him so much. They were just so thankful for everything he did to help them get the car. Now, just so you know, this guy is one of the most confident, outgoing alpha males you'll ever meet, okay? And that was the first time I had ever seen him get emotional. And he walked up to me after all this went down. I'm not going to say he had tears in his eyes, but I will say it looked like his allergies might have been kicking in, if you know what I mean. He walked up to me after that and he said, "You know what? That's the reason I'm still doing this." And yesterday I had the very similar experience getting to sell to a very young couple, an American military guy who married this woman that he met abroad. She just moved here with him, and they were both buying their first car together. And it was just such an awesome experience getting to know them and getting to help navigate through all the, some of the more challenging stuff that they'd never had to do before. But they were very pleasant people. They were very patient, and I just walked through them with everything, and they were extremely thankful for everything I did, and I was extremely thankful just because they were extremely thankful. I cannot tell you how much of a difference that makes when you're buying a car. If you're just nice, that makes such a big difference when you're buying a car. And I'll just say, after all of these wannabe Chads that I deal with that are really just male Karens, like this YouTuber, the people I dealt with the other day and the people that the other guy worked with, that elderly couple, those are the people that make all those other customers, it just makes it all worth it, okay? Let me get to the end of this video before I start getting emotional. I'm not saying that you need to just blindly trust every dealership you walk into, okay? You do need to educate yourself. You need to check the value of the vehicle you're going in to see. Do the math ahead of time, be informed. But if you see a car that is priced below market and you go see it and it's in good shape and you can afford it, why not just be fair? Why not just be kind? Most salespeople, like me, we're just regular people trying to provide for our families. We aren't out here trying to screw you over and get you to sign your life away on a car that you can't afford, that isn't worth the price that we're charging for it. I'm sure that there are dealerships out there that are still like that, that they're still just stuck in the ways of that old, greasy, stereotypical used car salesman, just that whole vibe. I get it. I'm sure they're still out there. But if you want a dealership that values transparency and fair pricing, come see us at Sam Boswell Honda. My name is Tim, and that is the experience that we are building here. See you in the next video.